Jaya I don't know what the format of the program is, but it's okay. We read something, Bhagavad Gita, something like that. So, it's customary on the programs. English is okay? English?
Yeah.
So, as it's customary, they always hear something from Bhagavad Gita. However, Bhagavad Gita is a universal book. And sometimes I do that, especially in a small circle. I ask what people want to hear about. I used to do this in Sweden. We had many school programs coming, from schools, students coming. And then they were very expecting that we go to the Hare Krishna sect. And there will be a preacher sitting there. And he will tell them all this, believe this. If you don't believe this, then you will go to hell. And all these things I used to. And they were totally surprised when I told them, what do you want to hear about? They were completely confused, these students. They said, well, we are supposed to tell you what to speak about. I said, yeah, you can say anything you want. And I will tell you then how it looks like in Krishna consciousness. Anything. Usually they came up with this. Can you tell us something about sex? I said, no problem. After 1 hour, they just were going, okay, no more sex, please, no, let's change some other issue. Just to show that actually we can actually address any issue, any problem. Srila Prabhupada made it very clear that this is practical. He said, actually, I came here to make people happy. And how do you become happy? Prabhupada didn't say you become happy by having no problem. There will always be some problem. But we also have a solution to the problem. And what is a solution? Actually, all the problems, the Chinese proverb, this is not from Bhagavad Gita. Chinese proverb, they say that a real understanding is by understanding things at its origin, where it came from. If you don't know the origin, then you'll always be confused. Now, all the problems in the material world, what people deal with, cannot be solved because they don't understand the origin of the problem. They're always only dealing with the result. Oh, now is this happening? So now we have to do this. And now is this happening? But actually, any serious doctor or scientist, he will tell you, yes, we have to first understand where it came from, the origin. And when we address the origin of the problem, then we also can investigate if there is some cure or some solution to it. Most of the people, they act like cats. You ever saw a cat acting? Or an animal, dog also. They always respond to what's happening. Yeah. You can take a piece of paper, tie it to the string, and hang it in front of the little cat and going, and the cat will go immediately, it's a piece of paper moving. It will immediately go after it. It will never really investigate about the string or the hand or who is operating the paper. It will be just fascinated by the paper. There's something much more. I don't know, give you a seminar how to tease cats, but we used to do this with these laser beams, the little laser pointer like this. You can go, any cats will go crazy. They just see a dot, and they go completely crazy. But they never asked where the dog came from. You know, dog, if there is action, practical experience, if there is action, the dog will join in and go, yeah, this is something happening here. When there is no action, it will go to sleep. You know, no action, sleeping. People are actually also like that nowadays. You know, they only respond to what's happening. And they read what's happening, and they think what's happening, they watch on the TV what's happening. But actually nobody asked where it came from. You're not from Ukraine, right? That is when the devotees now from Ukraine are there. It's a good example, Ukraine now. Everybody speaks about Ukraine, war in Ukraine, Russians in Ukraine. And everybody goes, oh, look at this, Russian came into Ukraine. Oh. But nobody speaks who created the problem. What happened before? How is it possible such a situation can happen? And why Ukraine? Why not New York? Or, you know, yeah? Why not Malmö? You know, so nobody asked these questions. They're all, oh, it's happening here. And they're all talking about it. So this is animal platform. This is actually how animals are acting. Just, oh, you know, I'm hungry, I have to eat. I'm tired, I have to go to sleep. I feel something, I have to do it. You know, this is animal platform. Now, Krishna consciousness is obviously something else. It goes deeper, below the surface, to the origin. Starting with simple question, where do we come from? And where are we actually going? People don't have answer for this. They go, I'm coming from Lund and I go to Malmö, that's all. They don't know anything. Then another very interesting question is, who is me? They go, well, who is me? I'm Swedish. You are Indian, I'm Swedish, it's clear. Well, we know that can be changed. You know, just tomorrow, especially today. I'm born in Ukraine, tomorrow I'm Swedish citizen. So who is me? Swedish or Ukraine or Russian or American or who is me? That can be changed. Personally, I have 3 passports with 2 different names. So when the police checks me, I can show them there are 2 different driving licenses with 2 different names. So I can tell them this is Swedish, this is German, this is my Czech passport. This is, you just, you know, and they always, in Czech, they're always funny, the police, they always go, this is too complicated, just keep on driving. You know, in Sweden, they were checking the computer, you know, registered, it to be registered. To have a number. What is your number? In Sweden, I'm not a person, I'm a number.
Yeah.
That's you very quickly realize that you are a number. You are not a person. I don't want to go now on Sweden because I lived here for 28 years, so I know. Just look at this picture. There's a picture from Sweden. Could be also Finland. Yeah. There's nobody there. There's nobody there. There's not one person. Nobody. Why? Well, because, you know, such places do exist here, many. There's nobody. And if there is somebody, here's a number. If this picture will be taken in India, there will be so many people on it, they didn't fit into the picture. There will be at least 1,000 people on it. And they will go, it will be a very lively picture. Here it's like, okay, that's nice, but where are the people? They are not there. So there are different places on this planet. But Krishna consciousness is not concerned so much with places. You know, I can sit here and chant Hare Krishna, I can sit in India and chant Hare Krishna. Of course, the response will be different. If I chant here, Hare Krishna, nobody will come. There's nobody there. But if I chant in India, I sit down and immediately there will be 1,000 people coming going, I died, what is he doing here? They will go, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna. So this is different. Still, Krishna consciousness is not concerned what's happening really. It's happening, why is it happening? So who is me? Where do I come from? Where do I go to? What is the goal of my life? Nowadays we can say, some people say, well, I'm a woman, I'm a man. Well, I notice in Sweden that can be changed too.
Yeah.
So you are not so sure. Maybe you see a woman, but maybe it was a man.
And you may be neither.
And you don't know.
Yeah.
You know, I never investigated, but you don't know anymore.
Yeah.
So this is, and they teach people that.
And you can decide every day.
Oh yeah,
Which
and you can decide.
Yeah.
You cannot decide anything. There's something women can do, and there's something men can do, and there's something men cannot do, and women cannot do. If you're already so confused that you don't know even what kind of body you have, you must be very confused. Very, very confused. So we are living in a very confused society. You know, what kind of society is this that they don't even know what kind of body they have? Maybe I'm a woman, maybe I'm a man, maybe I'm a dog.
Yeah.
Who knows? Maybe. Today I feel like a dog, I will just bark. Who knows? But this is called crazy. This is called insane. So Prabhupada commented clearly and humorously in the very early stages of this movement. Actually, one of the first books I read from him was a small booklet. It was actually a lecture transcribed. It was called Who is Crazy? And that was based on the fact that in the early days when people were not used to devotees. I remember that I joined in Germany in 1974 or 72 actually. So nobody saw in Germany any devotee like this. So when you came in Germany on the street, people were going, they called police, because the Germans do, Germans always call police. You know, German culture always call police. So they call police, there's a crazy man here walking on the street. He has a bed sheet and no hair. You know, this was the beginning of this movement. So they said, he's crazy. So Prabhupada noticed that. So then he actually gave a lecture, who is really crazy? And right away there, he already defined that this society, actually today I would even like to ask Prabhupada, I don't do this anymore, that if it's really so correct that he used the example that people are like animals. Actually, people are much worse. I don't want to offend any animal. Because animals are actually quite harmonious creatures. Like eating, sleeping, mating, and defending. It's very harmonious. Animals, tiger will eat flesh. He will not eat the grass, that's for the cow. And the cow will not compete with the tiger. I also want some flesh. No. The cow will just peacefully eat the grass. It's just eating. Sleeping. Well, they will do the sleeping simple anywhere like this. No problem. Yeah, eating, sleeping, sex life. You know, most animals, they don't have much sex life. Once a year, twice a year. You know, and that's finished. Then the rest is just brahmachari, you know, just nothing. Just don't care. And, defending, very simple. They have claws, you know, they bark. Or a snake will just go, you know, and then finished. But people complicate everything. They are not satisfied what they got. No, they have to make it very complicated. Eating, my God, how complicated that can get. You go in Malmö around, so many restaurants and this and that and these. And most of these things are actually not even eatable. You know, but they like to try it out. How does it taste? It's just for the tongue. You don't need any meat to eat, they will eat it anyway. You don't need to eat so much rubbish. Prabhupada commented humorously, he was visiting France, and French people are known as gourmet, just tasting. Anything. They eat snails. I mean, Prabhupada said in a lecture, I don't want to even discuss what they eat. Prabhupada in one lecture, he goes, they are eating even this, what is this called? This the one devotee goes, oysters. That's from the ocean, And Prabhupada goes, oh, you have tasted? You really ate this? But for Kalis it's normal. It's so disgusting. But they go, no, nice, very expensive. Right? It's very expensive, so it must be very good. So eating, so complicated. Sleeping, oh my God. I used to laugh when we went to IKEA, And then you go in a bed department, and you see these commies walking, people walk around and they sit on one bed and they go, and they go to another bed. But then you fall asleep, you don't know anything. What kind of bed? You are just finished, and sometimes you cannot sleep. You know why? Because you bought such an expensive bed, you have to take a loan and you are wondering how you are going to pay it. So you cannot sleep. Oh no, I don't know, I have money, and you cannot sleep. In India, unbelievable. I just went once in Delhi, Connaught Circus. That's a central, thing. I went to buy actually I was buying saris those days and for ladies and this. So I went, there's a very good shop with saris, Connaught Circus. So I just went into the shop, middle of the day. It was very empty. Because it's very hot, not many people on the street. Everything happens in India in the afternoon and quite at night because it's cooler. So anyway, I was wondering, there was nobody hardly there, and I looked at those saris on the shelves, and finally some lady came up and I said, can I speak to the boss because I want to buy lots of saris? And she said, yes, you can. And I said, so where's the boss? She said, here. And he was just lying in the middle of the day on the floor, and he had a chatter like this, and he was taking it. So she was shaking him a little bit, and he got up and he was going, Hare Krishna, what can I do for you? That was the boss. Simple. He just let it down. In India, people sleep anywhere. And they sleep quite soundly. Even not so concerned. So, so sleeping can be done so easy. Eating, sleeping, defending. What do you want to defend? Defend means also shelter. You need some shelter. So that's a fact. Especially when you are living in climate, once again in India, it's so simple. Because it's warm. Here in Sweden, in these countries, you have to isolate and heating and everything. Very complicated, actually. Prabhupada said why they are living here, actually. It's so cold. Why don't they come to India? It's warm. Simple logic. Of course, and then comes the sex life. So complicated. People do it in thousands of years. Why is it complicated? It's not very complicated. Prabhupada said, you don't have to teach this. If you have one boy and one girl, they will know what to do. You don't have to make a seminar. That's how you do it. But here, this society, everybody goes to the psychiatrist. I cannot have sex. It's so complicated. It's not very complicated. If you don't make it complicated, and what is the meaning? Krishna says in the Bhagavad Gita, the meaning is children, procreation. That's actually what the whole thing is geared to. I cannot speak for ladies, I have a man body. But I noticed that actually the lady's impulse is all geared. The man, the man think, it's fun. And the ladies immediately plan further. They go, okay, it's fun, but the men sometimes they don't think like this often. They think, oh, it's fun. Then they realize, oh, I'm a father. Oh, what happened? You know, because all that business, pregnancy, birth, child, that goes to the lady. That they carry the actual real burden of this thing. The man input is very minimal. But the ladies, they carry the whole burden for that. And it's all geared to that. They are made for that. From a man point of view, sometimes men don't even understand, yeah, my wife is getting a little bit round like that. Yeah. But they don't get it really. There's somebody inside. And then somebody will come out. I speak from experience. I was in Stockholm in birth clinic and my daughter was born. One of the most intense moments in my life, because I was really part of it. In Sweden, it's a kind of customary that the fathers, in other countries, it's not like that. The father is just, it's a ladies' business, you know. But here in Sweden, the fathers are, you know, fully involved. Actually, I had to cut a string. Well, she was like, you know, wow. You know, what an experience. But actually it was very complicated, very dramatical, very late. I don't want to get into this now in details. But the interesting experience was, I was in a room with 5 other men, all Swedish. We were all waiting when the wives will give birth to the children. Wow, this was intense. This was Swedish man. You know Swedish man? No facial expression, nothing. Just no. It's just nothing happening. But they were all finished. One was crying. The other one was just, they were all scared. You know, and then the door went open, and there was a nurse coming with a baby. It was not mine. You know, she gave it to the man next to me. She said, hey, it's yours. And the man was like, ah! You know, he knew this is my baby, but to relate to that, it was a shock. For ladies, it's normal. It's just, yeah, it's just. Prabhupada gives all this explains in great detail actually. Prabhupada says, yeah, ladies give a birth and immediately there's food. You know, it's amazing how Krishna arranged the whole thing. You know, there's a baby and immediately there's something to eat. And the babies, they know immediately. Yeah. Nobody teaches babies how to drink milk. They know. And they know what to do. And the mother knows what to do. Who arranged all this? Again, we go to the origin of things. When you start to look for the origin, things start to get interesting. You think, who arranged all this? Who arranged that once Srila Prabhupada came in a train in India, and they arranged a special compartment in a train just for him, so he doesn't have to squeeze with the other people. And there was a window in a train. And a window, there was this roller, you know this kind of thing? You pull down, and you push a little bit and it goes, you know. And Prabhupada went to that thing, and he was going, and he was going, and he was going, and the words were like, Srila Prabhupada, something wrong with that? Prabhupada said, no. It's just interesting how Krishna gave the intelligence to the scientists to develop such a mechanism. You see, this is for looking origin. Then things start to get interesting. People are just consumers. It's children also, by the way, can be like that. They can be very observative. They can actually, you know, children try to take things apart. And they look, how is it? Grown-up people, they just take it and use it. You know, that happens usually when sex life comes up, in puberty time. One becomes very superficial. Just use it. Let's have some fun with it. But a small child can sometimes be very investigative. They can very just check out, why is this like that? You know. Or Prabhupada explains when he was a small boy, and first time he saw a gramophone, with a big tube, and there is this, vinyl plate running and plays music. You put a and then Prabhupada said, how can a whole orchestra fit into such a small box? Because they think that there was all small men playing there inside. Yeah. Prabhupada explains like this. This is child. It's quite interesting thought, because he was looking for the origin of the music. Or Prabhupada was wondering, first time in Calcutta came a tram, just train, attached to the wire, electricity came on. So, this kind of thing, maybe anymore. There's a stick to the wire, and then the train is connected and goes bzzz. Prabhupada said, when I take a stick and I stand on the rails like this and touch the wire, maybe I will also go like this. Bzzz. Yeah. This is investigated. This is actually, it's a nature of a devotee. Srila Prabhupada never lost this attitude. To be with Srila Prabhupada was fascinating because he was always investigating, always taking interest. How did Krishna make it? It's interesting, isn't it? Now, we don't understand how he made it. We will never understand how he made it. This is beyond our understanding. But it's interesting how he made it. I don't have to understand that. But still, and what is the result? We get more and more respect and appreciation for Krishna. It's just amazing how he made it. It's like, this thing hanging there on the ceiling, this balloon. Yeah? Somebody will say, well, who painted that? No, a more intelligent person knows there's a gas which is keeping it up. Who made the gas? Why is this gas keeping things up? Not all gas is keeping things up. So this is actually floating. Why is it? Somebody will say, wow, this is amazing. No, a person who knows the process knows that that's how you do it. Therefore, Prabhupada said there is no such a thing like wonder, amazing. Prabhupada said it's only for stupid people, because they don't understand the origin. But if you know the origin, then actually things starts to become logical. Oh yeah, Krishna made it like that. We know who made it. We know who owns it. Prabhupada said, whoever made something, he's actually the owner. I produce it. I have a copyright, it's called. Like a book writer. He writes a book, and then he's a copyright. You cannot take something from the book, and you cannot do anything with the book without his permission. So this is the nature of Krishna consciousness. We are just learning who has the copyright, who owns these things because he created them. So this is what's important to know. And then suddenly things become very interesting. Yeah. There is intelligence behind everything. There is enthusiasm behind everything. There is a desire. These things you don't make in chemical laboratories. The scientists are claiming, I even saw an article, an idiot writing that we are close to discover the chemical formula for love. This means you can put it in a syringe and inject this love. Sounds great, isn't it? It would be a nice idea. No more hatred, just love. It will never happen. Because they are only examining, practical symptoms. Anyway, what's called love in the material world, that's another issue. But it certainly has the symptoms. If you have a man coming in, woman coming in here, they know immediately. Men, not so much. Men are stupid. They just go in. The ladies, they have a much more refined perception. However simple they may be, but much more refined. It's 360-degree radar. They know there is a man standing there behind. And immediately they evaluate, good man, not a good man, yeah, useful, not so useful, idiot, yeah. They immediately have evaluations thing going on. It's completely cheating, it's Maya actually, it's illusion. Because they extend this motherly, warm, all-loving feeling. It's all rubbish. They know this is useful, this is not useful, this is good, this is bad, but it's judged on their emotional perception. And that's where they get cheated. Because Maya, illusion, is that it seems to be what it is, but it's not. How many ladies I heard in my lifetime telling me, I lived with this man 20 years. I have no idea who it is. How many times I heard that one? Men say the same thing. That's illusion. We think and we project our desires. We imagine. Yeah. It's the same thing with children. Parents think, oh, like me. And they look similar. Sometimes, the features, they look similar. No, it's individual person. And we have no idea who was coming. That you will realize when the child grows up. The child will grow up and look at you like, where are you coming from? You go, wait a minute, I'm the parent, I took care of you, this big and this big and this big. And they this is a detail, it's not so important. At a certain point, they just look at you like, where are you coming from? Mm-hmm. Now, in India, there's a certain culture, still existing to some degree. There's a connection, there's a respect towards parents, there's a kind of value system. In the West, not really much. There's nothing left here, like that. There's no culture there, nothing. So, but still, it's an individual person. Where it came from, we don't know really. Now I don't want to get again more in details, where do things come from when it comes to producing children. We don't produce anything. We just lend ourselves as instruments. But who is coming? What is really happening? If a child comes at all, we don't know. Some people try so hard, now child coming. And some people hardly try anything, it's coming immediately. I came like this. My mother was 19 years old. And she told me later on confidentially, it was very quick. Not exactly planned. That's called Varna Shankara, and I'm the classical representative of that. Unplanned, sometimes even unwanted children, they just come, oh, it happened. Oh. Fortunately, my parents were very decent people and they took responsibility. And they got married and they just, and they took care of me the best way they could. Not all children are so lucky. Prabhupada gives already an example from his time when he preached in the West. He said, here children can be lucky when they survive at all. Because sometimes the mother kills the child in the womb before it's even born. Prabhupada was terrified. He said, what kind of culture is this? A completely defenseless child, they only kill him before it's born. So this is Prabhupada was shocked. How can they do that? So this is, so we are lucky, we survived. This is the nature of this world. So origin, where do we come from? Where do things come from? That becomes very interesting in Krishna consciousness because karmis have no answer for that. You can study thousands of years in a school, university, anything. They will not tell you where things come from. They don't know. And they don't want to know. Because they would have to come to a point to understand this was all created. As when you speak about creation, there must be creator. Logic. We demand in Krishna consciousness only logic, no belief, no blind belief, nothing of this. Logic. When there's a creation, there must be creator. So who is the creator? Where do these things come from? And they immediately go, religion, no religion. Prabhupada said, we don't discuss even religion here. We are not just another religion, we just want common sense, logic. But people are called mundane, lazy. They don't want to even think like this. Let's see what's in the TV. They will sing for me. This is a nice box, It sings for you, it shows you a picture, it emanates sound. You don't have to do anything. You just sit there whole evening and, then you get tired. Then go to sleep. Sometimes they have this switch channel thing, and they go, oh, this is so boring. Then they switch to another channel. You go, oh, this is so boring. And they switch to another channel. Or they think, maybe when I watch this channel, there's something more interesting on another channel. So they go, the whole evening they go like this. In America, they have more profound system on this. They divide the whole screen in little screens, and then you can watch all the programs all at once. Getting completely crazy, your senses are just, and the mind goes, and you go, and then you go, I'm tired. Go to sleep. When this is mush in the head, you go to sleep. When you wake up, you have another mush in the head. It's amazing even how the society is functioning. I'm always amazed at how society is functioning. People are so stupidified on every step, so driven by so many crazy motivations, and they are still functioning. Actually, the only thing which really regulates them is the work. They go to work. And then they, no work, no work. I don't know, there are different calendars in different countries. In the West, generally the calendar is Monday morning. Oh, okay, then you work. Tuesday, work. Wednesday, you are kind of in it. Thursday, okay. Friday, you already think about the weekend. And Friday night, that's the time really to enjoy. Why? Because on Saturday you can sleep. So Friday night is already anything outside of the four regulatory principles, they try to break. Here some drinking, here, and alone it's no fun. So you have to come together. What kind of crazy thing you are doing? Wow, that's really crazy, Can I do also some crazy thing like that? They inspire each other. They become more crazy. It's painful to me to see these girls piling up in front of this dancing, things, in expectation of something big happening. You know what's happening? Nothing. It's just very loud, very expensive, and you can get lots of trouble. That's all. And I think those girls who come to Krishna consciousness, they all know. We don't have angels flying into Krishna consciousness, Not always. Sometimes they do, but not always. Usually the girls who come, they know. They know exactly what I'm talking about. They think, I had it all. No more of this. But there's no shelter. There's where do you go? You want to come together and have some fun. This is not a bad idea. This is a good idea. But where's the fun? And what kind of together? What kind of association you will have? I don't want to go now into this, but in the material world, generally, people when they meet, they conceive each other like consuming objects. Can I enjoy you? Good. No, I cannot enjoy you. Or you don't taste good. And you see these ladies, they always just try to be enjoyable, they just push this and push that and paint this and paint that, and put plastic into the body, just to somehow or other look enjoyable, which is very relative. I remember when I first time came in India, beauty was defined in beak and fat. That was beauty. We were laughing. I was a brahmachari, I lived as brahmachari for 20 years. But we were just laughing. But this West Indian thing, ladies, beautiful, big, this Bollywood dance. And we're just laughing. You know, you go in the West, there's another concept of beauty. It's very relative. West beauty is just skin and bone, black, like this. You know, looks like almost dying. You know, that's beautiful. It's still there. You know, where's the concept of beauty? It's all, as they say in Bengal, the beauty is in the eyes of the beholder. It's very subjective. So why to bother with that? We have one big news for everybody. We are not this body. And the beauty is not finally in the body. We used to play this, I don't know if you know that, but it was a very famous ISKCON theater play. We always used to play it on the scientific. Prabhupada likes theater performance, so it's called the liquid beauty. You ever heard about that? This was a famous play, and easy to play. It was a beautiful girl. It was not difficult to find. There was always, I mean, my generation, I joined, I was 18 years old. There was plenty of beautiful girls around. So she played the princess. And then there was a prince. He came and he was fascinated. What a beautiful girl. But she didn't like him. She was a very chaste lady and she was like, wait a minute. But he didn't let it go. And he was very intense. Men can get very intense when they are lusty. You know, very intense. So she said, okay, come in 1 month. And then we will be serious about this. You have a chance. He was going, 1 month? That's long, but okay, I have a chance. So he was 1 month just getting ready. During that month, that girl was just fasting, taking lots of liquids and disgusting liquids. And whatever came out of the body, she kept in jars, stored. You know. Anyway, after 1 month he came, and he couldn't even recognize that girl because she was, you know, very grayish and very hair disheveled from all that fasting and all this throwing on. Then he realized, this is you? And then he said, what happened to your beauty? She smiled and she said, I kept it all in these jars for you. You want to have it? That was very instrumental. That play was played many times. You know, yeah. Liquid beauty it was called. Because when you look into the body, just take a little skin, little, and you look. Ish. As soon as you open the body, everybody goes, yeah, and just puts a plaster, covers it up. Yeah, but this is what it is. It is not what you carry around. You know, it's just for a little while. It's so nicely covered, and it's genius. It's so fantastically covered. You think, oh, what a beauty. No, just a few years and the whole thing starts to change. You know, like, I mean, a man body. So I never could understand why ladies can think this is a beautiful man. For me, man, it's just like a bulldozer. It's a digging machine. You know, it's something very gross. It's something of hair and, you know, and deep voice. And man body is good to lift up things, you know, and drag things around. I can still today, I'm basically an old man, but I can lift up anything. You know, I can just grab something and just, you know, sometimes I see ladies trying to, I go, what is this? She cannot lift up this, and they go, I can lift it up with one hand and put it somewhere, and I'm not a trained man, I'm not a sportsman. It's just the body is made that way. You just grab something, you know, that's man body. Not very subtle, you know. But so I never understood why ladies can be just a beautiful man. What's so beautiful about the man? The hair coming out of his head, you know, and out of his nose. It was really fantastic. It's so beautiful. My God, he has such a beautiful hair coming out of his nose. You know, so actually the body in itself, we don't want to go more in detail, it's a not that attractive thing. It stinks, you know that? It's emanating liquid. It's, but it's genius how Krishna made it. Again, we go to the origin of the whole thing. You know, how Krishna made his bodies. This is amazing. It's a perfect universe which works, digests, rejuvenates in itself. It has a reproductive power, you know, yeah. It's quite amazing how Krishna made it. All the doctors know that. You know, in India there's Ayurvedic doctors. They are very aware of more the subtle workings of the body. Here in the West, they just put a needle, you know, or suck out some blood. You know, this is Western medicine. Is just, okay, come here, sit down, and half a liter blood, and they go, we will examine that. But they take some urine, you know, stool. Ayurvedic doctor? No. They just measure pulse. They go, this is a disease, and here's the medicine. Prabhupada describes it like that. And he was in a medical business before he actually became a sannyasi. So he knew what he was talking about. Everything is more subtle in India. In India, things get, there are also gross people naturally, but things get quite subtle there. Here in the West, it's just like, we speak more, fancy speech, but where is the culture? Where is the culture and where is how people act here? Anything grows, and it's getting worse and worse. In my lifetime, and I'm coming from the 60s, where it was a very revolutionary time. Everything different, and let's try this, and let's try that, and this. And it was very positive, you know, let's try another consciousness. Let's try another seeing things. That's actually originally why people started to take drugs, young people. To experiment, to try to see another consciousness. But what they didn't know, the drugs are addictive and they degrade your consciousness. They don't lift you up, they put you down. But they didn't know that. They found out the hard way, usually. The whole hippie movement completely collapsed on two grounds: drugs and illicit sex life. They also said sex life, something new, exploring. You have to explore this. And what was the result? Yeah, just more unwanted children came about. Lots of frustration, you know, because the ladies, they get very practical. Okay, now is child coming, there's a home, bank account, some economical basis has to be there. And the man goes, oh, where's my freedom? There's no freedom. No, there is no freedom. In India, it's still culture. So family means responsibility. And that's what Prabhupada said. Married life, he didn't speak about any happiness or emotional satisfaction. No, it's responsibility. And that's actually how he also conducted his life. Even though his family was not very Krishna conscious, but Prabhupada was responsible. Up to the point where Krishna himself had to come and take the whole thing apart. So Prabhupada had freedom just to travel and preach. Prabhupada said, I couldn't understand it in the beginning. He said, I have a family, how can I? But my spiritual master told me to preach to English-speaking people. And he appeared later on in my dreams, calling me to take sannyas. Prabhupada said, I woke up, I was horrified. I couldn't imagine, I have a family here to take care of. How can I do that? Well, Krishna took care. It all fell apart. It just, sometimes you try things in your life, I can testify. You try whatever you can to stabilize something. No. You cannot succeed. It will go anyway. They have a nice saying in India, if God wants to give you with his 4 hands, what can you receive with 2 hands? And if God wants to take something away from you with his 4 hands, what you want to keep with your 2 hands, he will take it anyway. So this is actually what Krishna conscious attitude is. That actually we accept everything as Krishna's mercy final. What can we do? And suddenly life becomes very easy. Very simple. Suddenly, yes, you realize, I cannot change even my child. I cannot change my husband. I cannot change my wife. How many people are going, like, even devotees, they come and they go, my husband is so aggressive. I liked one sannyasi, he was preaching like this. He said, how are you sure the next one will be not more aggressive? How do you know that? Huh? You don't know. So how do we know? Sometimes people think, oh, it's better over there. And then they get even more problems as before. And sometimes things become actually so intolerable that it's very obvious we should leave that situation. That can happen. I mean, who's going to sit in the middle of fire and waiting until he's burning dead, You will not do that. When the really fire comes, well, you remove yourself. Generally, we need spiritual guidance for that. This was the beauty when Prabhupada was here. We all could go finally to him. I didn't even do that because I felt so satisfied. I didn't see any reason to go to Prabhupada and ask, Prabhupada, I have a problem. I saw problems coming, going, problem coming, going. I mean, why should I bother him with that? But when you read Prabhupada's correspondence, his letters, which is recorded, you get lots of very interesting information. How Prabhupada was very sensitive to dealing with this. And you get also information about devotees not being able to live together and this and that. And Prabhupada sometimes said, what can you do? I cannot change it. You cannot change it. Krishna is not changing it. So we have to accept and do the needful. But the major thing is Prabhupada immediately offered a positive alternative. What? You just surrender to Krishna. That's really positive information. And do the best out of the bad business. That's what we are trying to do. And there will be always some problem. There will be always something will be not right. So we have to accept that. This is okay. But it could be worse. So let's do the best out of that given situation. And suddenly you realize things are so temporary. Oh, I could give you so many examples from practical preaching field. Because somehow I don't know what, I was always involved with grihastha issues, even as a brahmachari. I was managing ladies because there was nobody else to do this, because there were single ladies called brahmacharini. But still, who is going to manage this? All the brahmacharis are going, not me, So the authorities, my authority asked me, you have to do that. And I have to say quite frankly, I never had a problem with that. If we were all properly engaged. And those days, everybody was preaching. So everybody was going out distributing books. That was an easy management. I just want to make sure that everybody goes out and distribute books. Male, female, or whatever. They could put a dog in my car, I couldn't care less. The major thing is he went out and distributed books. That was the idea. It was simple. And I have to say the service, even these ladies, these girls, was fantastic. Unbelievable. Completely not compatible with the bodies they even had. I saw ladies doing superhuman things. Unbelievable. There's a man I was thinking, how can she do that? But because they were so enthusiastic and so spiritually supported, they did incredible things. It's really amazing how somebody can get a child. That's superhuman to a man. You think, how do they do that? But to go out and see a lady distributing 100 books a day in one day, that doesn't, well, how can she do that? Carrying all this and distributing. How can they do that? So this is actually happening in Krishna consciousness. When Krishna gets involved, you will get lots of things to see you never saw before. And you will experience yourself doing things which actually you couldn't even imagine you can do. For me, my whole life became like this. Even now, I'm wondering what I'm doing in Malmö, what I'm doing in Sweden. As a commie, before I joined, even as a young boy, I hated Sweden. I hated the whole north. I was thinking it's full of this ice-cold people, with blue eyes, and and it's cold and dark. Why should I go there? I want to go to the south always, rather than the crazy Latino people or some crazy Italian, some hysterical, rather that. As this, no. Krishna arranged I spent here 30 years. How? It's only because of Krishna consciousness. Otherwise, what am I doing here? Why am I even sitting here? There's no use. I mean, somebody's thinking, Malmö is a beautiful town. Not really. I go in Malmö on the street, I go, it's just old red brick buildings, and for me, it's not beautiful. If you want to see a beautiful town, you have to come to Prague. I'm born there. It's really, you can say, oh, this is really beautiful. Every building is like a artwork. The center town. It's a very beautiful town. But still, when I look at the people, I think, oh, this is really ugly. It's a beautiful town full of miserable people. So again, it's a material world. So where is the beauty? The beauty can be found only in knowledge. Where you know. And then it doesn't matter where you are. Malmö or Prague or whatever. Who cares? Because when you meet actually somebody who is interested in Krishna consciousness, that's when their life becomes beautiful. And on that platform, we can become happy, you discover beauty, you discover so many wonderful things. It can be done only in Krishna consciousness. And as Prabhupada pointed out, nothing is lost. Like if you would follow the impersonal path of self-realization, that Shankaracharya, he said, first sannyas, then knowledge. No grihastha, no family, no children, nothing. First sannyas, then knowledge. Prabhupada didn't say that. Prabhupada actually himself got his disciple married. And he knew it's going to be a problem. Man and woman coming together means problem. Sorry. That means a problem. There's always some problem. She doesn't understand that he understands things that way. And she feels that he doesn't feel. Why doesn't he feel when she feels? And he feels that she could feel something that he feels. Now she doesn't feel that. And and I desire something she doesn't understand. She desires something he doesn't understand. We can play the game endlessly. There's always something. I feel so misunderstood, isn't it? I try so hard and she doesn't understand. There's actually seminars on that given by Kamis. You don't have to be a devotee to understand the intricacies of that game. I don't want to give any links to that. I don't study it so thoroughly. But accidentally I came across, I was going, yeah, this man actually knows the art of the game. Finally, I always quote Mr. Chaplin. You know Mr. Chaplin? That he said to the man, and it was after lifelong experience, he said, there is only one perfect way how to deal with women. Unfortunately, nobody knows it. He was a comedian, so he had to take it always to the extreme, And vice versa. It's just, we don't deal with these things in a material way in Krishna consciousness. We find the beauty elsewhere. You look around, there's somebody chanting Hare Krishna, very nice. And then you can tolerate. Because the art of becoming happy in Krishna consciousness is the art to learn to tolerate. Okay. It's not exactly sometimes what I want. It's not exactly what I expected, but it's still workable. If somebody chanting Hare Krishna, trying to serve Krishna, that should be good enough. Why not help him? Why not help her? And for that, sometimes it's helpful to understand certain natures of the body. Therefore, Varnashrama Dharma, it's called, the science. Therefore, in the Vedic society, this matches and all this was very carefully done. Because if you mismatch the whole thing, you can still overcome things by tolerance, but it's going to be hard. Whereby if you match it more properly, you know what to expect. You cannot put a fiery lady with some simple boy together. She will burn him up. Just by nature. You cannot do that. There has to be some somewhat similar match. So this was taken very seriously, just to give it a maximum chance. But still there was a problem. We know that from the scriptures, there were the problems. There is a problem, But if you consider ladies, well, they were simple ladies, just cooking, waiting for the husband to come home. And then there were ladies like royal ladies, princesses, Rukmini, and all this. She knew how to be diplomatic because she was growing up with this. She saw it all the time. She was surrounded only by kshatriyas and some brahmanas. She was surrounded by men with weapons. You think these girls were just playing ball and being just giggling? This was very heavy, ladies. There's even examples of ladies saving their husbands from the battlefield. Normally ladies no battlefield, there's no place for them. But they were even going in the battlefield, to save the husband. So how does she know? When Krishna kidnapped Rukmini, on a chariot with 4 horses, and he just grabbed her, put her on a chariot, he was immediately followed by other princes who wanted her too. So he was turning back from the chariot, killing the princes. This is a standard amongst Kshatriyas, And Rukmini took the horses, and she was actually steering the chariot full speed out of the battle scene. How did she know that? How did she know how to do that? This was another caliber, of ladies. So even there are differences. So if you mismatch the whole thing, you have a big problem. But being Krishna consciousness, Srila Prabhupada didn't bother with that very much. First of all, everybody was going on preaching. And I tell you, you go out to preaching, in the preaching field, you find only ecstasy, only bliss. I experienced it. First 8 years of my Grihastha ashrama. And I got married only for one reason. Because I was always managing ladies as a brahmachari. My authority, GBC, Harikesha, in these regions here, he came to me and he said, how long do you want to do that? And I said, I didn't ask for that. You told me to do this. He said, but isn't it really strange, isn't it? One Salibasi monk and he has a 4 cars full of ladies driving behind him going out to book distribution. It's a little bit strange. Of course, I was never alone. I had another brahmachari with me as a bodyguard. And I picked up the most fanatical one I could pick. He was so fanatic, when he saw a lady, he was going, Durga, Durga, Don't worry, he got also married later. But, he was really fanatic. So I took him as a bodyguard, But still, he said, how do you want to do that? He said, when you are married, no problem. Your wife is taking care of the ladies, preaching. You take care of the men, preaching, no problem. This was actually the basis of my marriage, those days. There was no talk about children or nothing of that. And I got a wife which was like that. No talk about children, nothing. She was like, okay, let's go. It was like 2 soldiers, in the army, I just go, and I go, I need more ammunition, okay. That was the relationship we had. She was loading, I was shooting. And she was also shooting. This was a lady which was fearless, absolutely fearless. We did things, I don't want to get into it now, but you couldn't even imagine. Smuggling books to Russia, things like that. And, dangerous, really dangerous. And the more dangerous it got, we got in bliss. That's very nice. I ended up smuggling books in Svalbard, that's Russian bases there too. Chased by polar bears, and snow scooters, I was just, there was a polar bear hanging behind. My wife was sitting behind me going, it's really fun, This was the kind of things we did. I mean, I was like 32 years old or something like that. Anyway, but it was fun to preach together. Powerful combination. And Prabhupada knew that. All the big temples in ISKCON, the early big temples in America, in London, were opened by Grihastha couples, not by sannyasis. Sannyasis were preaching very much, but it was Grihastha couples who did that. Because it's a balancing. You are much more safe position. If you are alone preaching, monk, there is anybody coming, ladies too, and they look at the monk, very tasty monk, you are in trouble. That depends how you deal with that. And there were many monks who were not monks anymore after that. But when you are married, simple. The ladies are very sensitive to the fact that it's already occupied. Sorry, the seat is taken. They know that. And they know if I would try, there's a trouble coming. Because ladies, they know each other. It's like a sect. They have their own secret language, which I don't understand until today. I don't know anything about this. They know, careful. The men, they don't know anything. They think, it's a very poor Mataji. She needs help. It's not so bad. Ladies, therefore it's a very protective thing. Srila Prabhupada ended up actually advocating that more and more. He also encouraged very much brahmachari, sannyas. Brahmachari, wonderful. 24 hours a day, you have nothing else to do as to preach. It's a wonderful thing. But in the long term, for most of us, it proved that actually it's a more safe position to work from that base. Prabhupada explained all this. So in Krishna consciousness, we can address any situation in life. Somebody says, I want to be a monk. Good, very good. It's a place. Somebody goes, not so much of a monk, maybe as a training. But in the long term, I know I have to get married. For ladies, anyway, sorry I have to say, I saw many nuns also in my generation. They were nuns, really. Brahmacharini. Not many left from that. And don't embarrass yourself by age of 55 to look for a husband. Looks strange, but it happens. Now, we respect that. Okay. Late, but, But the normal procedure, and now we have a new generation of devotees coming, which follow like the normal pattern. There's a time for everything, where to get married, or something like this. Decisions are made, and we can regulate our life like this. So in this way, there's a place for everybody in Krishna consciousness. And there is no problem in life we cannot address. It's universal, it's practical, it's for everybody. And this is the nature of Krishna consciousness. Once people do understand that, they get interested. Because from our external outlook, sometimes we look like some kind of enclosed up sect, this is their thing, they do here. But actually the real message we want to transmit to people, no, this is for you. Anybody can do it in any situation of life. Once we manage that, that's called successful preaching. There's some questions or points to this? When Indian people are present, I'm a little bit limited because they know these things already in many regards. They do that. They heard it from their father, they heard it from their mother. They go, well, what is the news here? What is he talking about? But for us Westerners, it's like we have to start really from ground zero, from nothing. Because we didn't got any education in this regard. So, any questions about this? No? Okay.
Philosophical questions.
Huh?
Philosophical questions, maybe.
Huh?
How to understand that Hare Krishna Mahamantra is not different from Krishna himself?
By practice. We cannot understand with our little brain and with our mind and with our, no, by practice. We have to just chant. And by chanting, we get connected to Krishna. And Krishna gets attentive. He's attentive to everybody, but especially to those who chant Hare Krishna. Krishna is actually attentive, and he gives the realization from the heart. The brain is too slow. The brain, how can we understand that? This is too slow. But by practicing, it's something we understand, otherwise we would stop doing this. It's a feeling, it's called ruchi first, it's called taste. So how do you define taste in a logical way? Prabhupada nicely demonstrated to one doubtful reporter who asked on a similar line after the lecture. And those days was simple. After the lecture, prasadam was served. Prabhupada directly on a vessel. So he got a big plate with prasadam, and the reporter was still sitting there. And the reporter asked, Swamiji, I mean, nice lecture, you sound so convinced. But are you sure this is the only way? This is like the only way Krishna consciousness? And Prabhupada knew this man is not very intelligent, not much brain. So he just took gulab jamun like this and he was going, anyway, but it tastes good. And he did it in such a convincing way, the man immediately agreed, yeah, it tastes good, prasadam tastes very good. And that was it, no argument. So it's a taste, it's a question of practice. Otherwise, we cannot convince people. Sometimes they come back and they go, but I was trying, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna. And there's no taste. Yeah, that we can also explain. There's a different kinds of chanting. With offenses, little offenses, and then pure chanting. Then we can also explain that. So we tell them it's a process. And process means it doesn't happen just overnight. It's a gradual process. I don't know why. I mean, I remember exactly when I got first time beads to chant. It was by my first temple visit. Those days preaching was very fast. You cut off your hair, you stay here. I was 18 years old boy. I told the devotees, no, I have to go home. But I had no home. I was student flat. I was living, apart with my parents. One devotee said, he goes home to mama. That was really insulting to me. I felt really insulted. Another devotee came, he grabbed my hair. I was not a hippie, but I had long hair. He grabbed my hair like this and he said, this would be the right haircut for you. I was going, he just grabbed my hair. I couldn't believe this. This was just, because everybody was the same age, It was all young boys, they were just, hey, let's go. I was in Germany, and I'm not a German, but I joined in Germany, and German way of preaching especially was like, it's like a joining some half-terroristic group, They were all just, heavy preaching spirit. And the whole movement in Germany in 1972 was altogether maybe 40, 50 people. That was the Hare Krishna movement. We preached in such a way that when we asked people were like, The sect is coming. It was in a newspaper, everywhere. Watch out, they will take your child too. Oh, the sect is coming. So we asked people on the street, out of fun. I mean, how many Hare Krishnas do you think exist in Germany? Nobody said less than 50,000. Nobody. We have 50 people, not even that, running around, but so intensely. They said, you are everywhere. Well, because we traveled the whole week. I mean, just like mad, you know. So they said, I saw you everywhere, yeah, you are everywhere, you know. But it was just these 50 people. So, yeah. This happens when you really preach. Prabhupada was one person. One single person. Spreading Krishna consciousness all over the world. So can you imagine what you can do when you are actually connected to Krishna? It's amazing. So that we will never be able to imitate, but at least we can try to follow in our little way. Try to follow and do something, you know, about giving Krishna consciousness to others. And the best way to do it is actually live in Krishna consciousness. People will start to ask questions. You are living there and you practice and they know, it's a bit different. What is this? And then you explain. It's preaching. So by practicing and, you know, and then you suddenly realize, I cannot stop doing this. I remember the first time I brought the beads back home and I tried to chant. It was not easy. The first realization which came to me that my mind is completely everywhere. I couldn't focus on the sound vibration. Hare Krishna, Hare Rama. Sometimes I was thinking, this counting was good, it helps. But I was thinking, why does it take so long? Quite simple, because I didn't move the fingers. I was always on one pearl, you know, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Hare Rama, yeah. Oh, I have to move. That was my first problems. Sometimes I was thinking, today it goes really fast. I chanted all the rounds in 20 minutes, you know, I was moving too fast. So I was like, I have to control this. This is practical beginner's problems, you know. Sometimes I was chanting Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Krishna. Oh, Hare Rama, Rama Rama. You know, like it takes practice. Everything Prabhupada said takes practice, training. But very soon I realized I really like to do this. Because as soon as I chant, it's so nice, it's so peaceful, and I have always something to do, and I don't have to speculate. Because I spent all the years before I joined this movement speculating. So much that I was completely alone, on my own. I had no friends, no girlfriend much, because ladies, I always connected them to drugs. In my generation, there was lots of experimenting going with drugs and with ladies. And I thought they have both the same effect. It's intoxicating and unpredictable result. So I was a little bit afraid of that. I want more control. So I would rather sit and speculate. I was an artist, so I was expressing myself in pictures and poetry and wow. Then I got afraid. I was like, my God, my mind can imagine anything. And you can imagine so many things that actually you think this is like that. This is called going crazy. So I got scared. But as soon as I chanted, things became more simplified and more peaceful. And I felt this very nice. You know, I wasn't alone. I had a friend with me who came to the temple and he also started chanting. We ended up chanting, just sitting in the room and chanting. Actually, the whole day. We were students, we didn't have to go anywhere. Art studying art, we said, you cannot, don't have to go anywhere. We were just chanting. We chanted at the end, we chanted really over 60 rounds a day, you know. We were just chanting and chanting and chanting and and then he said, what happens next? I said, no, I have to go to the temple. Actually, I have to join the temple. And he said, I'm not ready for that. I will come tomorrow. You join and I will come tomorrow. And I remember I went for the door. I opened the door and I said, actually, I'm not ready either. I closed the door and kept on chanting. It became quite a crazy game, actually. We were all looking at the door, chanting. Who is going first? It was completely crazy, actually. We were just looking, who is going first? And at the end, I remember the moment I just walked into the door. It was suddenly easy. We lived outside, and the temple was next town, not far away. But you had to go on train, just 2-3 stops. I just walked into the train. I had a bead bag, sleeping bag, and Bhagavad Gita, that was all. And I was sitting on a train. I remember the train conductor came and he said, tickets! Tickets! I was just chanting and going, I have no ticket. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Hare Hare. He looked at me and okay. And then he left and never came back. So I was thinking, that's how it works. Actually, it's not really more complicated than that. But for me it worked. And I walked into the temple. My friend, next day his old girlfriend came. 1 year ago. That was it. So, I was lucky. And joining, I came on Wednesday. I was on Thursday sitting in the temple. It was completely empty. It was a small house, completely empty. And I was just chanting on Thursday, chanting on Friday. And on Saturday they told me all the Sankirtan devotees will come back. I was going, what is Sankirtan devotees? Who is this? And then bang! On Saturday afternoon came like 20 young men in a dua. They looked like pirates to me. Wild with suitcases just coming out of the cars, and they're going, Sankirtan ki jai! Prabhupada ki! Everybody was screaming. And I was like, oh, here goes my peace. He is my peaceful chanting. And they look at me and going, hey, a new one. One of them, he told me, I have a hobby. And I said, oh, you have hobbies also here. That's interesting. He said, my hobby is to cut off other people's hair. And he took me in a bathroom and took a knife out and cut my hair. With no soap, nothing, just. It was so fast that I thought he cut off my head. I looked in a mirror and there was no hair. It was just Ika. I came out of the bathroom and there was 20 brahmacharis there going, Chai! And the next day I was on the street too. I had no idea what I'm doing. Nobody explained to me anything. They put me on the street, and they gave me some magazines, big pile of magazines like this. And they said, Sankirtan ki jai! And I said, what should I do with that? He said, sell it. I said, how? I never sold anything in my life to anybody. I was sitting at home speculating. So I was thinking, how? And they're going, well, you stop people and you tell them we are monks, we are coming from India. And there are many hungry children in India. And we collect for hungry children in India. And I said, first of all, I didn't even know it's a lie. But I said, I never was in India. They said, just shut up. This is a mantra. I was going, mantra? There's a Hare Krishna mantra and then there's this mantra. 2 mantras. Strange. 18 years old boy standing on the street. They dressed me up already like this. First time dress and first time immediately on the street. And actually there was no dhoti because nobody was in India yet. It was an orange curtain from the window. It was a good orange quality. It looked like a Buddhist, really bright orange. So, and I was standing there, the wind blowing. I was like, ladies don't have the problem, men do, you know. And people just by seeing me, the schoolgirls were going, yeah! And they run to the other side of the street and they were just laughing. But I said, I will rather die here. I'm not going to beg again and speculate. I will not do this anymore. This is like dying, more or less, you know. Yeah. So I took the magazine and I was like, and actually the only people looked to me who I could stop was the old ladies. You know, they don't walk very fast. So I went to the old ladies and going, hello. And they stopped. And they took the magazine and said, we are monks, we're coming from India. You know, we are helping hungry children. Can you give a little bit? And then one magazine was 1 Deutschmark, I remember, it was 1 coin. So, and then they gave something. So I was going, whoa, it works. They took another magazine, I tried again, another old lady, you know, like this. And actually, within half a day, I distributed like 200 magazines like that. And then suddenly the car appeared with the devotees again in the evening. And they looked at me, I was on the same corner, standing there just with this, you know. They were going, where's the magazines? I said, they are all gone. I even forgot the Hare Krishna mantra. I was so gone. I said, good evening. And they're going, Hare Krishna! I was going, oh yeah, Hare Krishna, okay. So, and they said, well, the magazines are gone, where's the money? And I said, here. And I had a kind of some sort of shirt, which was something like that. And I had this, I put the money on in the pockets. So I had such a pocket with these coins. I looked like a donkey, you know. And and they grabbed me and they were going, they shook me like, and the money took out and they were going, hey, distributed all the magazine, Sangatanki Jai! And then boom, and then he drove to the temple. The temple president came down the stairs. I remember this exactly. He was going, how was the new one? They're going, oh, he did in 4 hours, he did 200 magazines. They're going, he looked at me going, hey, he's a Sankirtan devotee. And that was it for the next 15 years. I hardly saw a temple. I was just living in a car. Just traveling. And I realized I like it. After 1 week of this, I realized I like it. And there was opposition coming up. You know, Germans, well, not very well known for their tolerance, by the way. Those days, now German is quite changed a little bit. But in those days, no. Police, there's a crazy man on the street, you know, and all this. And I had to really make my ground. And I started, I like this. I'm not that romantic boy, sitting at home, speculating, writing poems. I like this. Come on. And after 3 years, I was practically #1 in book distribution in Germany. After 3 years, I was #1 in book distribution in the whole world for like 3-4 years. It was heavy competition we had going on. It was heavy. It was heavy. We were reading the newsletters, how much they're doing in America. Okay, and it was heavy. Prabhupada encouraged that actually. You know. So then up to the point Prabhupada wrote me a letter suddenly. I never wrote him a letter. Somebody told him that we broke a record, worldwide record with my good brother Rohini Sutta. So they just told us to Prabhupada and he said, bring me a paper. And he wrote in him, they dictated a few words of appreciation. And I got a letter from him. I still have that letter. So this was, of course, I remember the devotee, the temple president, giving me that letter. Because meaning actually everybody already read this. You know, there was no private mail. Brahmachari means no private. So anyway, they gave me the letter and he said, now you are saved. And he was right. Because without Prabhupada's mercy, I couldn't even sit here. My life would be very different. I know how my life would be without Prabhupada's mercy. I can see it every day. Yeah, I would be an extremely miserable person. So whatever I have, whatever I can give, whatever I can share, this is all from Prabhupada. He gave me a new life. And actually I realized this is my real life. He gave me back my life. It's not like something new. It's actually me, real me. That illusory figure shaped by law of karma, that's not me. That's just under dictation of material nature. My real me, more or less the servant of Prabhupada, and that's the servant of Krishna. And then you find actually that's really me, even in a physical sense. This is so amazing. I realized, actually, even physically spoken, I am very different from that what I thought I am, and what my parents told me. Actually, they didn't know anything. They were shocked. What happened to him? No, but it was the real me coming out. This happens in Krishna consciousness, and it happens when you really chant Hare Krishna. Sometimes, since we are on that issue, devotees forget what they are chanting. You know what that means, chanting Hare Krishna? It's not just that you get in touch with Krishna personally, but it's a prayer. Krishna, please engage me in your devotional service. Remove the illusory energy and then allow me to be engaged in your devotional service. Now what happens when the service is coming? Some devotees go, I have no time to do service, I have to chant. Well, that's what you asked for, now it's coming. No, I'm keeping on chanting. It kind of a little bit doesn't make sense. It's like if you go in a restaurant and you order a meal and the waiter is coming bringing you lunch and you go, what should I do with that? And you go, well, eat, you ordered it. He goes, no, I'm just ordering. You know. So sometimes we forget actually what the mantra really does for us. It's opening a new field of devotional service for us. Because Prabhupada said, love means service. And that we can practice. It's natural. You love somebody, you want to serve him. This is completely natural. Yeah, it should be at least like that. I don't know, in Sweden, I don't know how it works here, but generally, man, woman, they like each other. There's exchange of services. What can I do for you? It's natural. Should be like that. So with Krishna is the same thing, even he is the supreme person. But love means service.
Namo Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prashta Bhutale Shri Bhaktivedanta Swami Nityananda Namaste Saraswati Devi Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyali Pashyata Dashapuraya Hare Krishna Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Krishna, Hare Krishna, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Krishna Krishna Hare 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 Rama Hare Rama 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 Hare Hare
Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Krishna Krishna Hare 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 Rama Hare Rama 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 Hare Hare
Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Hare Rama 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 Hare Hare
Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Hare Rama 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 Hare Hare
Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Hare Rama 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 Hare Hare
Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Hare Rama 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 Hare Hare
Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Hare Rama 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 Hare Hare
Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Шрила Прабхупада ки! Нитай Гора Премананде! Someone else should sing or should I sing?
Yeah, I can.
You should? No, no, okay.
Right?
Давай.
Yeah, beer.
You can chant Namaste.
Merci.
Yeah,
If you want to, I can.
you can. Do that.
Namaste Narasimhaya. Namaste Narasimhaya. Prahlada Varadayine.
Just continue.
Shri Advaita Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna,
We need a stage for this. With a microphone, then we do the real thing.
Now we have last thing.